We keep hearing about the Restore Act and all the money that's supposed to come to the Gulf Coast. So how is that going to work?
Well, to make something that's really complex slightly less complex, oil spills are against the law. The Clean Water Act forces companies that spill oil into open water to pay fines that are based partially on the amount of oil spilled. Now, since the 2010 Deepwater Horizon accident spilled millions of barrels of oil into the Gulf of Mexico, BP and the other companies that were involved are going to have to pay a huge fine through the Clean Water Act. Before the Restore Act, that money would have just gone to the federal government, which could have used it to pay back some debt to China, build a fence around Texas, or whatever. But in 2012, Congress passed the Restore Act, which specifically sends the fine money from Deepwater Horizon to the 5 Gulf states that were affected.
How much is the fine going to be?
We don't actually know yet. A federal judge in Louisiana still has to set the final amount, but because he ruled that BP was grossly negligent, that could be over $13 billion.
How does the money get handed out?
By a bunch of state and federal officials who were basically put in a room together and told to hammer out a restoration plan. Sounds efficient, right? But basically, they all are statute-created Oprahs who get to hand out billions of dollars in grants over the next few years. You get a grant. You get a grant. You get a grant! Which is weird to think about, but it's also probably the biggest disbursement of conservation funds we're ever going to see in our lifetime, so there's a lot of pressure to get it right.
What can the money be used for?
Well, all of the Restore Act money is going to go into a trust fund, where it's broken down into different pools or buckets. Now, there are different rules and purposes for each bucket, but essentially, all the funds are supposed to go toward either ecosystem restoration, economic and infrastructure projects, or ongoing research and monitoring of the Gulf. In Alabama, we created a statewide council to decide which projects to fund with our share of the money. Now, they've received dozens and dozens of proposals already, and they're still ongoing. Some of those proposals include elevating the Mobile Bay Causeway, rebuilding Dauphin Island, creating oyster reefs in Mobile Bay, or building a new shipping terminal at the port. It's going to be up to the state council to decide what kind of ecosystem projects get funded, what kind of economic projects get funded, and how many of each to do with their share of the money.
How long is that going to take?
That is going to take years and years. Turns out being Oprah is a lot of work. All the projects have to get scientifically evaluated and checked over by experts before they just start handing out giant checks.
Can I get some of that money?
If you have a project proposal, you can submit it to the state web portal, but if you just want to build a turtle farm, probably not. So that's the Restore Act, a really big pile of money coming from an even bigger corporation that's going to be Oprah'd out to different grants over the next several years. Got it?